I'm not sure what game you guys are watching. Again, I state, Shedeur did play bad. He did. But why he played bad is clear as day if you understand the game of football and what he had to work with. Kevin Stefanski not letting Shedeur come back in the game to finish the 2-minute drill. Oh, I've never seen that before. I've never in my life ever have seen anything like that before. What are we doing?
This is insane. The preseason just turned into a soap opera, and Shedeur Sanders is somehow the main character in a plot twist nobody saw coming. Forget bad plays or rusty mechanics. An expert claims this was all fueled by pure, uncut hatred. Yep, apparently we've entered a sports version of a telenovela where instead of touchdowns, we get vendettas. Was Shedeur sabotaged? Did the haters win preseason MVP? Or is this just the NFL's most dramatic reality show yet? Stick around, because what's being uncovered will make you laugh, gasp, and maybe even question if football secretly runs on beef.
Last night, we saw exactly why teams passed up on Shedeur Sanders in the draft, and it's because everything becomes an overblown media narrative with him. And instead of just saying he struggled, the narrative is the Browns are purposely sabotaging him so he doesn't become their next franchise quarterback because they don't want him to be the face. They're trying to suppress him as much as they possibly can. I just finished watching the All-22, and diving into the film, I didn't think that there were many open receivers for Shedeur Sanders. I can be honest about that. I also think that the sacks that he took were pretty egregious.
So Shedeur Sanders finally got his big preseason stage, and instead of dazzling us with quarterback magic, he delivered a performance that looked like a blooper reel set to circus music. You know it's bad when fans start Googling, did Shedeur Sanders forget how to walk before kickoff? Somewhere, an expert popped up with the theory that this wasn't just clumsy mechanics. It was hatred, actual hatred, eating away at his game. Ah, yes, because nothing screams NFL drama like a quarterback allegedly tripping over his own ego while the ghosts of imaginary haters dance around the field.
Who makes that call? He makes that call. Why? Because I want the last thing people to see. I want the last thing for people to remember is the mistakes and the sacks that happened and not give him a chance to redeem himself. Because I think probably what would have happened, okay, we can't have Shedeur come in here and finish this 2-minute drive and go down and get a touchdown. We don't want that. So we're going to leave him on the sideline. So it leaves a bad taste in those mouths. So now there's nothing that they can say. There's nothing that they can say because now you got a small sample size of him playing with people that are probably not going to be on the team. In their bio on Twitter, going to say, former. Man, come on, man. But okay, I can't wait to hear your piece. And in chat, for those of you who are listening and watching, I'm not making any excuses for him. He played bad.
Watching Shedeur stumble through that game felt less like football and more like watching someone try to text while running on a treadmill. You could practically hear the haters cheering in Dolby surround sound every time the ball sailed nowhere near the intended receiver. Forget defensive schemes. This was pure slapstick. At one point, it looked like he was playing catch with invisible teammates from an alternate dimension. I swear, if he threw the ball any further away from reality, NASA would have started tracking it as space debris.
Stefanski deserved criticism for how he's handled this quarterback competition.
I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no. You can disagree with him all you want to, but this is a two-time coach. This is a two-time coach of the year. The man knows what he's doing. I would have liked to have seen Shedeur Sanders, in the 2-minute drive. I would have liked to see him be in position to be on the field to go drive them down the field and for that game-winning field goal. I get that part, and I understand the skepticism that comes with it. It's a legitimate question. But to ask the question, it was one thing. To accuse this man of sabotaging Shedeur Sanders is another thing entirely.
And then the theories started flying. Was it nerves? Was it rust? Or was it, as the expert insisted, a fiery storm of hatred holding him back? Because clearly, when a quarterback has a rough preseason game, it can't be football related. It must be fueled by a secret cabal of haters whose full-time job is making Shedeur look like he's auditioning for a how not to quarterback training video. The NFL has injuries, penalties, and suspensions, but this was the league's first confirmed case of performance-limiting hatred. Historic, really.
Shedeur Sanders had a full-on meltdown during the Browns' final preseason game, and it was, in my opinion, 100% warranted. What the personality they put On the field with Shedeur Sanders today was an absolute joke. I think the Browns will 100% cut him, and he will 100% find a home somewhere else come Tuesday, come Wednesday. But this is ridiculous from the Cleveland Browns and the organization. They put Dylan Gabriel in the best situation to succeed today. They gave Shedeur Sanders the crumbs, the bottom of the barrel, and I completely understand. I get his frustration.
Let's talk about the body language. You know that look people get when they walk into the wrong restroom and don't realize until it's too late? That's the energy Shedeur carried between snaps. He wasn't just rattled. He looked like someone had swapped his playbook with IKEA instructions in Swedish. He dropped back, stared at the field like it was a magic eye puzzle, and then hurled the ball as if allergic to accuracy. Every throw screamed, "Please, someone, anyone, just end this drive before my reputation combusts."
Last preseason game, how do you feel like it went?
Last preseason game, I'm happy because we got the win.
How do you feel about your performance personally?
Obviously, I feel like I can improve in a lot of areas. You know, like the same thing I said last time, walking off the field last game that I played in, and I'm just excited for the opportunity to get out there and play.
What's the biggest thing you've learned or taken away from training camp?
Biggest thing I learned, I would say connecting with my teammates, relationships, bonds with everybody and everybody. Yeah.
Couple days, 3 days until roster cutdowns.
The best part? The fans. 1 minute, they were hyped like it was Christmas morning. The next, they looked like kids who unwrapped socks. Twitter timelines transformed into roast battles so savage even comedians were taking notes. Shedeur went from the future of the franchise to the guy who made preseason watchable for all the wrong reasons. The memes were instant. Photoshopped banana peels on the field, Shedeur looking like he was dodging imaginary ninjas. Captions about how hatred had finally been weaponized in professional sports.
Sanders looked very, very bad. Very bad. There's no way around that against third and fourth stringers. What you talk about, 11 dropbacks, 5 sacks, just 3 completions, 4 3-and-outs in 5 series, 1 fumble recovered by a teammate. Those were the numbers, but some of the things that they talked about in terms of him being in college, guys, you know this better than me, both you and Ryan and Deion, you know, I defer to y'all, obviously. But it's one of those things where holding on to the football a little bit too much, taking that 24-yard sack, holding on to the ball, leaving a clean pocket, some of the things that they complain about in college, that's what we saw. It was nothing like what we saw with him against Carolina. And so I think when you perform that badly, it doesn't mean that it's the end.
And let's be honest, if hatred is truly this powerful, the NFL might as well scrap scouting combines. Forget 40-yard dash times, just measure how many haters a player has. If hatred is kryptonite, then Shedeur just became Clark Kent at a Comic-Con full of Superman cosplayers. One trip, one wobble, and suddenly the narrative isn't about footwork or bad reads. It's about some sinister force of negativity that rivals Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet. Congratulations, football. You're officially a soap opera.
So it's official. Shedeur Sanders is definitely not going to be the starting quarterback and definitely not going to be the backup. He's most likely going to be cut by the Cleveland Browns sometime this week, or he is going to be on the practice squad. Hopefully they let him go and he can go to a team that actually wants him. But yeah, with today's performance, being sacked 4 times, not getting no snaps with the starters or the second string, it has become apparent that they love Dylan Gabriel. And obviously Joe Flacco going to be the starter.
Of course, Shedeur isn't the first Sanders to be wrapped up in drama, but the way this unfolded felt like the sequel nobody asked for. Instead of proving himself on the field, he gave us performance art, a tragic comedy where the haters allegedly stole the script. Honestly, at this point, you half expect Netflix to pick it up as a limited series. Episode 1, Hatred on the Goal Line. Episode 2, Revenge of the Receivers. Episode 3, The Collapse. And the finale? Probably his dad yelling at the clouds.
When Shedeur Sanders ended the game, the offensive coordinator must have went to sleep or something. Straight up like that. I don't know what happened, what was going on. Or the receiver coach took over the play calls for the first time in his career. Things changed for the offense when Shedeur Sanders came into that game. All of a sudden, when Shedeur enters the game, the Browns are a pass-first team, run second. I sure didn't like the sequence of play calling when Shedeur Sanders entered the game. Pass first, run second. That is never the Cleveland Browns model. And to me, that play calling was done intentionally. I said watch out for unusual. play calling when Shedeur is playing. Then I'm thinking he has to get a chance.
Meanwhile, the haters supposedly responsible for this collapse are probably sitting at home eating Cheetos, completely unaware that they've just been upgraded to NFL-level villains. Imagine turning on the TV and hearing you've single-handedly caused a quarterback to stumble through preseason. Somewhere, one guy is choking on a Dorito like, "Wait, me? I just tweeted mid." Powerful stuff.
The Browns just released their latest depth chart, and Shedeur is still number 4. I don't believe it. He's definitely not going to be their week 1 starter. If I were Shedeur, I wouldn't even want to be the week 1 starter. The Browns open with the Bengals, but then they go Ravens, Packers, Lions, Vikings, Steelers. Those are not defenses I'm interested in playing. When Flacco inevitably gets benched, I think Shedeur is now in pole position. Now, maybe they'll go to Pickett, but I think that would be asinine. I think Stefanski might be coming around.
And the cherry on top? This wasn't even a regular season game. This was preseason, the NFL's version of rehearsal dinner. Nothing counts, except apparently for Shedeur, who turned it into his own personal Shakespearean tragedy. If he struggles in an actual game, I can only imagine what the experts will blame next. Sunspots? Mercury in retrograde? Maybe the turf wasn't supportive enough of his dreams? At this rate, the only explanation left will be that the universe itself is out to get him.
There are rumors out there going around that there is a possibility that the Cleveland Browns could cut Shedeur Sanders. Dylan Gabriel is still ahead of Shedeur Sanders on the depth chart. Why do you need Shedeur Sanders if that is the case? And there is also speculation that the Browns are going to be in the market for a quarterback next year. The Browns do not look like they're going to have a great year on paper. So they're probably going to be somewhere near the top of the draft. And could they have their eye on obtaining a franchise quarterback? That probably is not a great vote of confidence for Shedeur Sanders.
Still, you can't deny the entertainment value. Shedeur Sanders didn't just stumble in a preseason game, he gave the internet a buffet of content. For the rest of the week, sports shows didn't even need highlight reels. They just ran the same 3 awkward plays on loop, added dramatic music, and let the hatred theory do the rest. In a world where football is supposed to be about strategy and skill, Shedeur turned it into an improv comedy special.
A 5th-round draft pick? No, he's not. That was proven wrong also on Friday night. Not a 5th-round draft pick. Should have been drafted before that. You can't watch that game and at least go, oh, he looks the part. He looks like he has the capabilities of being a starting quarterback in the NFL one day. I mean, there was a lot of good there. And the first thing, like you alluded to and gave me a little credit for it, I appreciate it, Mike. Yeah, he's a gamer, right? The game just doesn't look too big to him. You and I talk about it all the time, the look test. Does he look comfortable? All of that. First off, he looks bigger than what his actual size is on the field.
And let's give credit where it's due. It takes a special kind of talent to make hatred the MVP of a football game. Defensive coordinators spend months trying to shut down quarterbacks, but all along, the secret weapon was bitterness and Twitter trolls. Somewhere, Bill Belichick is rethinking his entire defensive playbook like, forget cover 2, just send in some haters. So here we are, left with one undeniable truth. Shedeur Sanders' preseason collapse wasn't just about bad throws or missed reads. It was about hatred, supposedly powerful enough to turn a top prospect into a walking blooper reel. And if that's really the case, then buckle up, because the regular season is going to look less like football and more like daytime television, complete with betrayal, scandal, and the occasional interception for dramatic effect. Because let's face it, Shedeur may bounce back, but we'll never forget the night hatred won preseason.